Let's get into it. Let's get into some original Joe Rogan content. The stuff that made everybody fall in love with Joe Rogan, and that's DMT. Let me give you a quick quote from Joe Rogan. DMT could possibly be a wormhole to heaven. That's what we're dealing with in this clip. And that's the type of stuff I love from Joe Rogan. He's talking to a gentleman named Jelly Roll. I know, very interesting birth name. It's not his birth name, it's his artist name. He's a singer. He's very interesting. He sings country type songs, even though he looks like someone who would be a rapper with the tattoos on his face. And he's all about God. Like, very, very interesting person. And this person's going to be talking about a life-changing realization they had after a DMT dose. And then Joe Rogan's going to get into what Joe Rogan does best. It's going to be an epic DMT rant, which I love so much. And anytime I find one of these in an episode, I got to bring it to you. I have to. It's just what I love. Let's get into it. Here, the store, really quick. You've heard of the Great Reset. This is the Great Resist, my newest design. I absolutely love it. And anybody who's purchased anything from this site, you are greatly appreciated. As everybody knows, we have all sorts of merchandise here. We have anti-WEF stuff. We have sold not for sale stuff. And we now have the Great Reset stuff. Show you a hoodie here as well. This stuff helps us so much whenever you purchase anything. And if you're one of those people, you're greatly appreciated. But let's get into the actual clip. Let's go. There he is. Very interesting looking guy, no? All right, let's get into it.
Doing DMT up in fucking this camper, and I start tripping mushrooms, and I'm coming out of my DMT thing, and I'm in that afterglow state. And in that moment, I went, the music's being packaged wrong. It was this weird moment where I was like, I'm writing these super dark songs, but then I'm putting a cartoon picture of myself on the cover, and I'm shooting. You know what I mean? Like it just hit me. I was like, I'm writing the right songs. I'm just writing them over the wrong chord progressions, and I'm dressing it up the wrong way. Changed my whole life, Joe.
Wow. So what was it about the trip that made that apparent to you?
Dude, I don't know what it was. We wasn't even listening to music. I was just sitting at that KOA, staring up at the stars. You know, I'm getting $60 a night or something, or $100 a night. I mean, I'm playing, you know, dude, it's 10 of us. I mean, it's, you know the story.
Yeah.
We've all been there. Yeah. So we were like struggle bussing. And I was just having one of them vulnerable moments in life where I was like, am I fucking doing the right thing here? Like, am I tripping? How much longer am I going to try to push this square through this circle, you know? And I looked up and I was like, God, what am I doing wrong? I know my heart's right. I know that my only other choice in life is criminal. That's all I've ever done, Joe, is music and crime. That's the only two things I've ever known, you know? So I'm like, I don't have any qualifications to do anything. You know, I was like, what am I doing wrong here? I know the music's right. And it was almost like it was that easy. From years of trying to figure it out, it was like, you're just writing over the wrong chord progressions. You're writing the right songs. You're just writing them wrong.
Wow. What do you think that is? What is happening?
I wish I did. I was hoping you were going to give me the answers. I've been wanting to talk to you about
I think
this
if I
for years.
had the answer, you should walk out and never trust me again.
Yeah. Well, because I learned about DMT on this show.
Whoops.
Right? Well, they changed my fucking life. You know what I'm saying?
They're doing legitimate studies now in the UK where they're doing a drip. So they're doing an IV drip with a long release of DMT, so it stays in your bloodstream for hours. And these people are having these experiences that are repeatable. They're going to similar places. They're going to the same place. They're reporting these contacts with entities. They're reporting these experiences that are, it's odd. It's very odd because no one does it in long doses. You do it in this 10 to 15 minute dose, and it's so overwhelming that the moment you get a chance to, it's so hard to relax in the middle of all of it and just accept it and just be empty and let them show you things. It's so hard that a lot of people wind up with this like tense conflict where you're in conflict with the overwhelming nature of the experience. So you're trying to control it in some sort of way, or you're trying to deal with it, and you just gotta be able to. You just got to be able to do that. And if you can't do that, it's going to be a fucked up ride.
Yeah.
But these people are going through all that, and then they're getting to, and they're staying there for hours and hours. What is that? I mean, I don't know if that's a hallucination. And that's the simplistic, reductionist view. If I was a person who is a cynical academic who's never fucked around with drugs, I would look at that and I go, well, this is really simple. It's interacting with your visual cortex. It's some sort of a hallucination. Your imagination is producing these results. But man, it doesn't feel like that. And I really wish people would have more of an open mind about what this is, because I have a feeling it's the root of humanity. I have a feeling it's the root of all religious experiences. I have a feeling that it's the root of compassion and love, and I think it separates us from the more primal aspects of our beings, and it does it in a very tangible way. And it did it with me, and I'm sure it did it with you, and it does it with a lot of people that go and have either ayahuasca experiences or DMT experiences. These things that you should probably call ceremonies, even though it sounds ceremony is a ridiculous word. But it is kind of like you're in a religious experience, and that might be what God is. That experience, when you there might be layers and layers to that until you eventually get to God. And I don't know what these people are doing. They're doing this long-term IV drip thing, but I mean, you literally might be opening up some sort of a wormhole to heaven, as bonkers as that sounds.
I know you're going to be one of the first people that'll figure it out. And when you do, please let me tag along.
I will not figure it out, but I will talk to whoever figures it out. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, but if you find the drips, let me know.
I'll let you
save
know.
me a seat for the drips.
100%, bro. We're going to travel together.
Yeah,
That is amazing. Just that thought process of like opening up a wormhole to heaven. And if you've never done psychedelics, I can't suggest that you do them, but if you have, you can kind of understand why he's saying something like that. It does feel like that at times, but also it feels very dark at times. So I don't know if he's right about that at all. It gets very dark and uncomfortable, and heaven's not associated with any darkness or uncomfortability whatsoever. So he might be stretching a little bit there. But again, that's what I love. I love Joe Rogan talking about DMT, speculating what it could possibly be. And I have had those same type of thoughts, thinking that, this might be linked to some religions. Some religions, when they express, or when you read about certain things in religious texts, and I've read things from the Torah, I've read things from the Bible, I've read the Quran, I've looked deeply into Buddhism over time, Hinduism when I was younger, and a lot of this sounds trippy, to say the least. So I could definitely see how someone could connect psychedelic experiences to a lot of different religions. Like it feels like there's a connection somewhere there. And why wouldn't there be? I don't know. It's the only reason we would think that there's no connection is because now we have laws, and now we have, what good people do and what bad people do. And, for the most part, there's a huge part of society that thinks that bad people take these hard drugs and that good people don't. And maybe way, way, way back, there was none of that, misconception. There was none of that. There was none of that stigma. Maybe at one point they were fused. And you did those things as a good person, as a God-fearing person. You did things like that, and you mixed those two realms. Maybe there was no mixing. Maybe it was just one and the same. Back when we had tribes, there was always shaman, and the shaman would put different herbs together, and they would smoke them, and they would turn them into rubs and topical things, and it would be for healing, or it'd be for this or for that. There was all sorts of things that they would do. They would have vision quests. They would do all sorts of different stuff. I have an uncle who's very religious, and he would talk about how in Barbados, oddly enough, he would brew this brew. He said it was like mushrooms and herbs and all sorts of things, and you drink it and you'd feel like you were flying. And he would like go into the bush. He would like go into the jungle and hang out there after he did it. And, I don't know. Maybe people have been doing that for millennia. I don't know. And maybe religion that we see today is the more polished, non-drug related version of that. I have no idea. But it's always interesting to hear Joe talk about DMT. I love it. I love it. I love it. And any clip I can get. And for me, myself, I'll go into it really quick. I've done DMT. I've done ayahuasca. And when I did DMT, I felt exactly what Joe was talking about. And like opening up and having the thought process. This is particularly on DMT. Having the thought process that this is more than likely what dying feels like. And if this is what dying feels like, I'm okay with that. Like it would be like, it was almost like it was okay if that's what was taking place right now, which is very interesting. And then the walls started like moving and everything disappeared. It's very, very interesting. I've told this story before, and then, people were unsure if I was okay because I was doing exactly what Joe said. I was like, oh. And then a wonderful gentleman who looked like Jesus walked in with a crystal harp, and he was like, I just got this harp. He's like, can I play this harp for you? And I was like, yeah, please. I think I said yeah. I think maybe I just nodded my head. I don't know if I could talk. And then he started playing it, and he started singing. He was like, oh, it was literally like heaven. It was like exactly what you think when you see heaven, like the harps and you're going in and Jesus is there. It was like exactly that. It was wild. And then my experience with ayahuasca, when I did ayahuasca, ayahuasca was telling me to take my wife's hand in marriage and to ask her parents, make sure to do it properly, which I did. It was also telling me to mend my relationships with my brothers, which I'm working on currently. And it told me that I don't have to do this anymore, which I took this to mean I don't have to keep beating myself up and feeling bad and feeling like I have to improve. And that was it. Again, life-changing. And millions of people have this story after they do stuff like this. Just life-changing stuff, deep stuff. But the thing about it is that the psychedelics aren't just going to take care of everything. After you're done, there's work to be done. You have to do the work. So you get whatever you get from that realm, and then you have to actually do the work. Just like when you go to church. You go to church and you may feel good and you may have heard a good word, but are you going to take that word that you just heard and apply it to your life? Same thing with synagogue, same thing with mosques. Like, you can learn all the stuff, all the written stuff, but then there's work to be done in your life to actually live that out. And are you willing to actually take that step? Not be infused with the praising and the music inside of a church, and actually now all the music's gone, the book is to the side, and you have work to do in your life. Are you willing to do that work? That's exactly how psychedelics work as well. The way I always put it to people is psychedelics is like a bunch of people coming to your mind, a cleanup crew, an organizing crew, and they organize a bunch of stuff. All the stuff that's in the back of your mind, and they take it and they put it all together, and they organize, they reorganize everything. File cabinets, alphabetical organization. They really organize it, numerical, color coded, everything. And then after they're done, they're like, okay, we organized everything, but now there's this that you haven't dealt with. All that other stuff was stuff that you dealt with. And now we have this left over, and you need to do this so you can put it into the categories and the organization. You need to do this so you can put it away. And, whoever you are watching this, you know what that is. You don't need to go through a psychedelic experience. When I say the stuff that you don't deal with in the back of your mind, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know better than anybody. And the thing about it is that, again, you could take all the doses of whatever and you can read all the scriptures and everything like that. But are you going to go and do it? In the sober, real world, are you going to go and do that work? That's the hard part. That's the really, really hard part. But just wanted to play that for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Other than that, I am out.